Okay, final clip to discuss. This was actually sent to me by a viewer on Twitter. If you enjoy the show and would like to send me clips on Twitter, then my handle is on the screen at the moment, and you can tweet different interesting news stories around the future for us to have a chat about. This is all about AI replacing photographers. So a developer from the Netherlands has developed an AI photography platform called Deep Agency. You just upload some pictures of yourself, and their AI will create a HD portrait photo shoot for you. All those pictures there, there's just a couple of examples, don't exist. They're not real. Those pictures weren't taken. The individual uploaded their face, a couple of pictures, presumably. Then the data then turns that into hundreds of different options that they could select. I've already started to see Deep Agency AI pictures on LinkedIn as profile pictures on Twitter, and people have been quite public about it, like, hey, this is my new profile picture, this is a fake picture, it doesn't exist, this is AI that's created this. So AI could potentially replace photographers in a matter of months if this takes off. What are all your thoughts on this, Nick? Why don't you kick us off?
I was actually... The one that made me smile about this was the one with the Pope with a white puffer jacket on.
Yeah, that was more Mid-Journey, that because he's a public figure, right? If you search that name, you're going to find a lot of stuff. But this is for the everyday person.
For the everyday person, yeah. I mean, I think, yet again, I go back to, there are a lot of people that do photography for a living. And I think my concern is, yet again, I've seen other ones where a wildlife photographer, but you put into ChatGPT, and give me a photograph in the style of, and it does it straight away.
Yeah.
So I think basically we're taking the skill out of what people do, and we're not so much now giving people the opportunity to learn a trade and a craft, and I think that's the biggest concern I have for it. If it's a bit of fun, it's harmless fun, it's fine. But I mean, that's what Photoshop it's kind of the next generation of Photoshop, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think, where you're taking, it's the intellectual property that someone's created in the first place, and I can guarantee that they're not going to get the same amount of money for the ChatGPT generated image as they were for the original picture themselves.
No.
So I suppose that's the concern that I would have around that.
Yeah, I mean, for the end user, it's probably beneficial from a price perspective. Why spend a couple of £100 taking your family to get a photo shoot if instead you can automatically, if big tech buys this, when you upload your picture onto Facebook or onto Instagram, it automatically creates other options and says, hey, would you like to pick one of these? And then boom. Or you get a notification one day and say, hey, we've just made 100 pictures of you based on your Instagram posts. Would you like to post any of these? Interesting. Lorenzo, what's your take when you see this story?
Would you do that for your wedding pictures, Alfie?
Would I? I mean, I got married a couple of years ago, so it's probably a little bit late to do that. But if I was getting married now, I get what you're saying. It's not as authentic, but I don't think it matters, because if it's easier, if it's faster, we live in a pretty inauthentic world with social media. So I don't think people give a damn.
I think authenticity don't always matter, right? I probably wouldn't convince my partner to take fake pictures, AI generated for a wedding, but my profile pictures, yes, I don't see why not. Or my professional pictures.
I think I agree with you. I think it's for fun, but it's also about the experience as well. The experience of having that photograph taken and where you are at that point in time.
Yeah.
So I think I think that to me would be the more important thing. I think it's for a bit of fun and for a joke. It's great. Or your profile picture, like you say, it's great.
Maybe we'll replace Photoshoppers, editors,
rather
than photographers.
Yeah.
I can see
graphic designers,
different way to do that type of job.
What's your take, Giuseppe, on this?
Yeah, I'm really into what Nick and Lorenzo said. It's interesting to see what are also the, when you introduce a new technology, you never know what people are going to do with that. So I could post, I don't know, a picture of me at the office while I'm riding the motorcycle on the hills. I don't know, or people that can use it to do also not really good stuff,
Okay.
And that would be, scary, like, I don't know, someone doing something that is not really real and you post a picture on the social and and you cannot tell if it's real or not.
Yeah.
That would be a little bit scary.
One of the issues that this could cause is deep fakes, because we're going to see an explosion in like deep fake porn. That's going to be a thing where I can upload poor Lorenzo's face, and then boom, there's 1,000 videos of him, if there isn't already. In uncomfortable situations, we're going to have situations where you can type in on GPT or a competitor. I'm just using that as the like Google it, as a term. It's as it's become. I could say, make Biden give this speech about how he wants to nuke Ukraine, and he's decided to side with Russia now, and that will be created, and it will be indistinguishable from the actual video, which is why perhaps Elon's onto something with the verified ticks. Maybe that you can only trust it if it comes from that legitimate source. But deep fakes are going to be everywhere, and they're already starting to become a reason why we're not going to be able to trust each other, even more than we already can't do. Giuseppe, what's your take on how the deep fake aspect of what this could lead to?
Yeah, this is what I was saying before. It will be very interesting to understand what can be the usage in good or bad cases of this technology. Because it will be very interesting. It's for me, I don't really care about the digital representation of me.
Yeah.
So I'm not really jealous or possessive of pictures taken about me,
Yeah.
But what if someone can do a deep fake that puts you in trouble,
Sure. Yeah.
Then
if you work for a company, if you're saying something inappropriate or bad about that brand, if you're a celebrity, there's been deep fakes done where they're promoting products which they've never even heard of, and then you can just have them do a pitch for your brand and put that as an advert. There's probably hundreds of hours of me online, given that I've been doing this podcast for years now. People could make me say anything at this point. It's I'm screwed if this becomes a thing. What's your view, Lorenzo, on the deep fake side of this?
I'm thinking about cycles of trust. So I always think about trust, probably because of cryptocurrency.
It's your job, man.
But imagine many years ago, there were no pictures. People trusted human signature. Then we had paper bills, and there's a whole evolution of technology in paper bills, type of inks, holographic printing, etc. And then we had pictures as a recognize a person is real or not, right? Now we're probably in a phase where we won't be able to trust any more digital pictures, digital images. It's shifting the power. That's what I'm thinking. But we'll find something else. Maybe our document will have a fingerprint.
Yeah.
Or maybe we'll have some DNA hash.
The blockchain.
Something like, or maybe a blockchain. Yes.
Yeah. Seems like the answer, right?
Seems like connected. No, it's a system of trust. What you're talking about here.
Yeah.
I'm thinking. Well, we won't trust any digital image anymore. There will still be utility in them, but we'll find something else to trust upon.
Maybe we'll finally find a really good use case for NFTs.
That would be awesome, yeah. Except for art, something more. No, it's really trust what has been built.
Yeah.
Now we need a digital equivalent of trust, of a digital image trust.
Yeah. What do you think about the deepfake side, Nick?
Yeah, I think the points that the guys have raised are all valid. I think there is a deep concern for me about this, because you can put people either in compromising positions. We've heard a lot about revenge porn, where it's used in that, which is absolutely fundamentally wrong. As Giuseppe said, it could be used for blackmail. It's so those are the worries, and it's how you get that trust and how you get that trusted source. And I think you've made a really good point. Maybe finally we found a use for NFTs. Maybe.
I mean, I always thought the NFT idea was great, because you could have every receipt could be an NFT.
Yeah.
Your concert, your tickets, your pass to go places, your boarding ticket, etc. And then instead it's become a way for Trump to sell pictures of him as a Superman, which is the troll in me thinks it's hilarious, but like that's such a shame that like blockchain technology gets hijacked by people, whether that's doing some scammy ICO rather, or just some pump and dump rug pull. or what happened with NFTs. But I mean, clearly the underlying principles of that technology are the future. We'll just have to wait and see what happens with it. It's interesting to see there's some big news at the moment in the crypto world. Balaji, the former CTO of Coinbase, he has placed a bet on the price of Bitcoin going to $1 million in the next 90 days. I think he's got like 70 days left or something of it. It's gone up a little bit, which is great because I'm a big Bitcoin holder, but I not sure if it will go to $1 million. But his ethos is the banks are starting to fail. Silicon Valley Bank. We've seen the acquisition of, was it Chase? One of the big banks was recently bought by another one, and he says that a lot of banks out there are insolvent and they don't even realize it yet, and they're just running on borrowed money, and we're going to start to see more and more banks collapse over the next couple of weeks, and then the US dollar might even be backed up by Bitcoin. Maybe that's a bit far-fetched, but who knows? I mean, blockchain is such an interesting world. I know you might be not to speak too much on that, Lorenzo, given you represent a company, but you clearly see blockchain as a future, regardless of if Balaji's experiment turns out to be correct or not.
I see that as a technology of trust.
Yeah.
And we have to redefine how we trust our government, our other institution. How do we keep them accountable? Right? Instead of having this the Fed to be the central authority for everything, we can keep them accountable in a different way. So I see the potential of redefining trust, what it means, and if you think on that scale, I think it can redefine how society works with government and the central authorities in that sense. This is the grand vision I see. I'm not into the fine detail, NFT, arts, etc., but I see the potential of redefining trust.
What do you think, Nick, on the potential of the blockchain? Are you yay or nay on its possibility?
Yeah, I'm a definite yay on it, without a doubt. I think I guess the problem I always see is there's a large proportion of the population that don't trust it.
Yeah.
And I think the trick is how we get it more general acceptance of blockchain amongst the masses. I think amongst people like ourselves, we understand what it does and how it works, and I think that's great. But I think there's a lot of people that don't understand it, and I think the education of it is the key point. But once you've got that education out there and people understand it, as Lorenzo has quite eloquently said, it's about that whole trust process, and it is a method of trust. So I think it's from that perspective, I think it's great, and it keeps, as you say, it keeps our governments in line.
Yeah, it almost seems like AI might have replaced Web3 on the hype cycle recently.
Yeah.
But the Gartner hype trend, right? These things come and go, and eventually take off. Why don't you finish off the episode, Giuseppe, with your yay or nay on the future of blockchain? Are you optimistic? Do you think the pump and dumps or the stuff associated with it and the bad actors would hinder its widespread adoption, or what's your view?
My view is I'm much more scared about the CDBC, the central banking digital coins, because they will be the start of the end of our real freedom.
Yes.
And I believe that Bitcoin is the biggest emblem of freedom for people.
Yeah.
Blockchain in general, not just Bitcoin. Because no one ever said that is the government that has to manage money. And at the end is not the government, because the central banks are private entities. So I would prefer a decentralized coin that is going to be owned by the people. And all this turmoil about bad happening, FTX and so on, this is, I'm sure that is artificially created to put a black shadow against blockchain. Why the people that they want to govern us, they know that it can give us freedom. Decentralization of everything, of power or money, I think is the ultimate goal of us as humanity.
Yeah.
And when I see the word centralized, I'm always scared because,
of course,
Yeah.
I mean, the idea of there being a Rishi coin, which is attached to your individual blockchain ID, which if you go against the government, it gets turned off. That is the horror story version of this situation, Whereas, you know, Bitcoin it's freedom from its white paper perspective.
It is already happened in Canada with the trackers
Yeah.
and the people that they send money to them blocked their bank accounts.
And
just
not China, Canada. you
Canada,
know.
yeah. It's just you know,
Yeah. insane.
democracies are different,
I know.
not what we know now. You know.
Hey, thanks for watching this YouTube video. If you want to see more like this, please remember to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.